You've already heard this a million times before. You already know that the present moment is all that exists. You've heard this said 1,000 times. You've heard hippies smoking weed saying, yeah, man, just connect to the now, just buzz out, be chill, be present. You've heard Eckhart Tolle talk about the power of now, being mindful, being present, meditation. You already know about this. You feel like you already get it. So you're saying to yourself, okay, Adam, yeah, sure, the present moment's all that exists, great. Let's talk about something interesting now. Let's talk about astral projection. Let's talk about lucid dreaming. Let's talk about doing psychedelics and having ego death. That seems more interesting. That seems more fun and exciting. But here's the thing. There are 3 different levels of comprehension when it comes to actually understanding for yourself that the present moment is all that exists. There's 3 different levels of actually getting it. And I'd say that most people are at level 0. Most people aren't even ready to hear that the present moment is all that exists. But if you are familiar with this term, this idea, this concept, then you're probably around level 1. So here are the levels. The first level is, oh, okay, the present moment is all that exists, huh? Past and future just occur in the now. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Cool, I get it. I get it now. Okay. Let's go do something else. Let's talk about the next spiritual concept. Let's go read a different book. Let's go to the movies. Let's go do something else. I get it. Now, the second level of comprehension is, oh, the present moment is literally all that exists. Huh. That's interesting. That's weird. That has a lot of really weird implications that completely shatter everything that I thought I knew about reality. That's the second level. Now the third level, the third level is holy fucking shit. Oh my god. What? What? No. No way. The present? What? It can't be. No. No. The present moment. Okay, that's the third level. Now, what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be guiding you from the first level and even the second level into the third level. So, this idea that the present moment is all that exists, this is what the entire universe has been trying to tell you for your entire life. In every single moment, you are getting messages from the universe that is trying to point your attention so that you understand this one truth right here. If we could boil down every single spiritual teaching from all the masters, from Jesus, Buddha, Nagarjuna, the Zen masters, the Hindu teachers, all the spiritual teachers, Eckhart Tolle, Mooji, Rupert Spira, all of them. And we wanted to boil down their teaching. Basically, what they are trying to tell you is to come back to the now. Remember that the now is all that exists. So here is a very telling story that I experienced for myself in my own life, which will start to really give you an idea of how important this concept is, that the now is all that exists. So when I was on my meditation retreat, I went on a Dzogchen meditation retreat for 3 weeks, where I had spiritual discourse and instruction from a master who has been practicing for 40, 50 years, his entire life. He's an enlightened sage, a serious master. His name is Lama Mark Weber. You can check him out. He's amazing. And I was learning about Buddhism, and Lama Mark was talking about the Dharma. Now, if you're familiar with Buddhism, you've heard about the Dharma. The Dharma, they basically use that word to describe the teaching. So follow the Dharma. Live the Dharma. Learn about the Dharma. That kind of just means the teaching, the path. But this word Dharma, it's a very loaded word. What does this actually mean? And Lama Mark, my teacher, was saying, this word Dharma, this is something that you can contemplate for 20, 30, 40 years and only begin to understand what it actually means. Right now, you don't know what the word Dharma means. This is something that'll take 30 or 40 years for you to contemplate just so that you can begin to understand it. But he said, here, I'll give you a little hint. I'll give you a taste of what it actually means. And these words, I etched them into my brain so that I never forget them, ever. He said, Dharma is understanding that which is concept and that which is beyond concept. I'll say it again. So the word Dharma means understanding that which is concept and that which is beyond concept. This is the highest teaching. So to make it easy to understand, understanding that which is an idea in my mind, understanding what is a thought, an idea, a concept, and what is beyond thoughts, what is beyond concepts. That's the Dharma. That is all of spirituality boiled down into one sentence. Being able to differentiate between that which is a concept and that which is not a concept. So I'm going to give you an experiential understanding of what this actually means so that you can really get it for yourself. So in our lives, we spend most of our time in our Lala fairy tale land, up in our minds, and we're constantly thinking about reality. This is how we normally interact with reality, is that we think about it. We think about the environment that we're in, we think about our relationships, we think about our schedule, we think about our goals and our dreams, our aspirations. That is normally how we interact with the present moment, is through the mind, the thinking mind. The thing is that most people, actually every single person, doesn't have the skill of separating apart what is an idea in my mind and what is actually real, what is actually here now in the present. This is a long lost skill that we have forgotten as we grow up, because when you're a child, when you're really young, you don't understand anything about the world. You have no clue what anything is. You don't know the difference between your left hand and your right hand. You don't even know what a hand is. You don't even know what you are. You don't know anything. So in order for you to survive in the world, so that you can make sense of the world, so that you can continue to live as a human organism, you need to learn how to separate reality into different ideas and concepts. So as a very young child, you start to learn the difference between left and right. You learn the difference between this is a hand, this is a finger, this is an arm, this is a room, this is a dog, this is a cat. So you start to attach labels and concepts to the present moment. You're not aware that these labels and concepts, You are the one that is projecting them. These aren't real. There's no such thing as a cat. That's something that you have imagined and projected onto your experience. Okay? So as we grow up, we get so good at labeling reality. We become amazing at doing this. And in fact, we become so good that we actually forget how to not label reality. We get stuck in labels and concepts and ideas. And then we confuse our ideas about reality for reality itself. We confuse the map for the territory. We think that the picture of the hamburger that's on the menu, we think that that picture is the actual hamburger, but it's not. So your idea about reality is not reality itself. So here is the exercise that we're going to do, very easy, very brief, so that you understand what I'm talking about. I want you to look at your hand. Just look at your hand. And focus on all the details of your hand. Actually look at how cool and beautiful a hand is. You might notice a lot of different lines that you never saw before. And when you're looking at your hand and it's actually in your experience, this hand is real. Okay? This hand is actually here. This hand exists. Okay? Now here's the catch. You now try and get rid of your idea of a hand. Try looking at this hand without thinking that it's a hand, but look at it for what it actually is. So you have to put your mind to the side just for a couple seconds and just imagine that you've never seen a hand before, and that whatever you're looking at, whatever this thing is not a hand. But you've actually never seen this before. You have no clue what this is. So you have to actually get rid of your ideas of biology. You have to get rid of your ideas of skin, flesh, bones, cells, matter. You even have to get rid of your ideas of me, because who does this hand belong to? Really, it belongs to no one. It's just here. It's just an experience. It's just a picture on the screen of my awareness. Okay? So do that. Now, when you're looking at this hand, look at your hand. This hand is real. Okay? This is real. Now, I want you to put your hand behind your back. And now I want you to think about your hand. Call to mind all of your ideas about a hand, what it is, what its function is, the purpose of a hand. Okay, so think about that. Okay, so that's a concept of a hand. That's not an actual hand. It's just a concept, just an idea. Okay? This seems very obvious, but this is the preliminary exercise for what we're about to get into, which will completely shatter everything for you, okay? So if you have a weak stomach, don't continue watching this video. So we're gonna take our hand back out, and we're gonna look at it, say, oh, okay, now this is real. This is an actual experience that is actually here in the present right now. This experience of a hand cannot be proven or disproven. It doesn't need a logical explanation. It's just here. There's no reason for why it's here, but it is here. It doesn't require a proof. But then again, put your hand behind your back and then think about a hand. Think about what a hand is, what you think a hand is. and notice the difference. I just want you to be aware of the difference between when you're thinking about something and when something is actually here right in front of your face in your awareness. It's two different things. Okay? So, right, what we've just done is we've separated concept from reality. And this is something that takes years of practice to do. But you can do it right now. We've just done it in the exercise. This is something that you practice and you continue practicing and you start to get really good at it. Now, when we hear the teaching, the present moment is all that exists, that's a very loaded statement. So let's break it down. What is the present moment? What is it? Where is it? So that word, present moment, it's two words, that is pointing you to this. This right now. Existence, this thing, reality. It's here now. Okay, it doesn't need any proof or explanation or justification or story or conceptual model or idea that explains it. It's just here for no reason. It's just here. Here it is. You found it, the present moment. Congratulations. Welcome to the present moment. Enjoy your stay. There's mints in the lobby. Welcome to the present moment. Now that you're here in the present, what was I going to say? Okay, so when I say the present moment is all that exists, so we understand what the present moment is. Okay? And now what is that phrase, all that exists? What does that actually mean? So when I say all that exists, I want you to notice that there is nothing outside of the present moment. There's nothing other than right now. This present moment right here, everything that could possibly exist must exist within the present. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. So put your hands behind your back and think about your hand. Think about it. Now, this is a very radical step, but if your hands are not in the present moment, not in your experience, what that means is that they literally do not exist. The only thing that you have of your hands is your idea, your concept, your story about them. But that story is not real. It's just a map. It's just an idea. It's not actually an accurate representation of what is here, what is actually here. So even if your hand is in front of your face, there is no hand that's here. It's just being. It just is what it is. There's no label or story or idea that needs to be attached to it. This isn't actually a hand. That's a category that human beings have invented in order to aid your survival as a separate self. That category is not true. It's not something that is inherent in the substance of reality. There is no database out in the universe. Let's say God's database. Let's say God exists. Let's say God had like a computer file where on the file there was a database of every single object that exists. And one of them is a hand. See, there is no such object. There is no object that is a hand. A hand can only exist so long as you imagine it, so long as you believe that it exists. You have to actually make it up. You have to actually think about it in order for it to exist as a hand. But if you were, let's say, an alien and you've never even seen a hand before, and you look at a hand, this isn't a hand. Okay, are you grasping what's being said here? This isn't a hand. if you think it's a hand, just be aware that that's your projection. You've invented that story. Any reason that you give me about why this is a hand, like, oh yeah, but Adam, what about science? What about bones and cells and all that stuff? No, that's a story. Science has chosen to categorize this area of reality as a hand so that we can understand its function, so that we can survive in the complex world. But that is an arbitrary category. It doesn't actually need to be called a hand. It doesn't need to be that, okay? So when I say the present moment is all that exists, what that means is nothing exists outside of the present moment. Actually break down the word exist. What does that even mean? In order for something to exist, it must be happening in your awareness. Otherwise, you don't know that it exists. It can't be said to exist unless you are aware of it. Now, a lot of people don't get this. This doesn't click for you. But the problem, again, is that you're trying to think about it. You're trying to allow it to fit into your current worldview, your current paradigm. You have to just, for a second, put your paradigm, your worldview, what you've been told by your parents, your teachers, your friends, the scientists, put all of that to the side for a second and just observe what is true, which is now. The now is true. This is the realest thing that we have. The second you start to go in concept, fairy tale, idea land, now we're starting to get more and more detached from actual reality. Because thoughts and ideas can be proven, they can be disproven. They're always relative to your perspective. But this present moment here is, quote unquote, the truth. It's here, it's now. There's no argument. Okay? And become aware that something can't exist unless you are aware of it. That is that's the truth. That's the position that we find ourselves in reality. You are the most fundamental building block of all of reality. Your awareness is the foundation upon which all of existence is built upon. And your awareness is actually, it's a foundationless foundation. It's not real. It doesn't actually exist. It's nothingness. It has no substance or way of being. So we're going to explain this more in my next video, which I'm going to talk about the true nature of your awareness, and we're going to explain that in more detail. But just become aware right now that nothing exists unless you are aware of it. Okay, we've beaten this horse to death because I'm trying to bring you to that level of comprehension where you actually grasp it and you say, oh, the present moment is all that's real. This isn't just an idea in my head that Eckhart Tolle told me about or that I heard on the internet somewhere, but this is something that I'm actually aware of now. Now let's talk about what are the implications for this truth. What does this actually mean? This is when it starts to get hairy. This is when people are going to start turning the video off. This is when your worldview is going to start to get challenged. Because it's one thing to know that the present moment is all that exists, but it's another thing to know what that means. So, okay, let's start simple. First is that the past and the future are not actually real. So a lot of people have been able to grasp this for themselves, but become aware that the past, what is that? That's a concept. That's an idea, a projection of your mind. There is no past. Where is the past? Can you point to it? Can you show me the past? Can you bring me some evidence of the past? You might say, okay, I'm gonna go get something that's old. I'm gonna go get a 100-year-old picture of my grandmother and show it to you. Say, here, look, this picture is the past. See, look, it's a representation of the past. Where is that picture occurring? Where is it? It's occurring in the present. This one, it has to click for a lot of people. If you go get me a dinosaur fossil from 1 million years ago, and you show me, say, hey, look, Adam, I found some proof of the past. Look, a dinosaur fossil. Great. You just found me another example of the present. The present, you can't escape the present because it's all that exists. You can't find me something that shows proof of the past because anything that you find me is going to be occurring within my awareness and within your awareness, and it's going to be happening right now. Okay? And also the future must be real, because when I started this video, that was the past. When I started this video, I didn't know everything. This was the future. So you have ideas of the future, ideas, projections. You think in 2 years, my beard's going to be longer, or I'm going to be 2 years older. But what is that? What is that? That's a thought. That's a concept, an idea, a story, a projection. That's not actually real. That's not here. The future is an extrapolation. It's an idea. It's something that you've projected onto your experience. But notice it can't be proven. So you're believing in past and future, thinking you're, some rational, logical human being. Meanwhile, even the past and future, how can you prove it? Right? Many people think they're so scientific, they're so rationally minded. But then when I start talking about how the past and future don't exist, they can't even believe me. But why are you believing in the past and the future if neither of them can be proved? How can you prove it? Even when you get to the future, right? You imagine that you're going to get somewhere else. You can't go anywhere, really. You're stuck here in the present moment. Even if you go walk around the block, it's the present moment the entire time. If you go fly to a different planet, you're still in the present moment the entire time. Even when you get to the future moment, okay, I got there. Notice it's right here. Shit. Can't escape the present moment. It's right here. Okay, so this is a very scientific claim that I'm making here, meaning that I'm going on evidence. This is the past and the future don't exist. This is provable to you. You can actually prove this to yourself. Do an experiment. Imagine the past and just observe, where is that? Where is that happening? Oh, it's in the present. The future, oh, it's in the present. Only present. That's it. Okay, you got it. Next. What does this mean? Does this mean that I was never born? Because if the past isn't real, then what about my past story? Because one thing that you use to continue existing as a separate self, as an ego, is you use your past story as a ground so that you can ground yourself in it, so that you don't fall through the floor, so that you don't have a panic attack. You ground yourself in your past story so that you feel safe and secure in believing that you actually exist. But check it out. Where is your birth? Were you born? Were you? What does that mean, birth? So in order to entertain the possibility of birth, you have to split up reality into many different categories. You have to say, okay, a human being is real. A human being is a mammal. A mammal gives live birth. Live birth happens when a sperm cell meets an egg cell, and then the baby is formed in the uterus, and then it's pushed out of the vagina, and then that baby was born. And then the parents raised that baby, and that's exactly what happened to me. That's birth. And you can actually see this happen in the world. You can go see a birth. And then you can say, oh, okay, that's what happened to me. That's how I'm here. The world is three-dimensional, physical, past and future are all real. Past and future are an illusion. It's like a sleight of hand, like a magic trick. You deceive yourself into thinking that the past and future are real. But if you wanted to be honest with yourself, if you wanted to be truthful, if you wanted the truth, I'm not interested in telling you what you like or don't like, or what makes you feel safe and comfortable. I'm interested in the truth. Just because there's nothing else to be interested in. What am I going to be interested in? Falsehood? No. Your birth is a story in your mind, and it's nothing more than that. Because in order to entertain the possibility of birth, again, you have to split up reality into all these different categories of me, of age, of time, of space, of mammals and biology and all that stuff. None of those categories actually exist. Do you think a rattlesnake knows about birth and death? What about a dolphin? What about a scarab beetle? Do you think these different animals who are conscious, they have consciousness, they're aware, do you think they know the difference between birth and death, or what birth is? And you might say, oh, well, Adam, all of those animals, a dolphin, they're stupid. They're not as smart as us. We human beings, we're the smartest. We've discovered birth. We've discovered it in the world. It was an actual thing, and then we actually just found it. We didn't invent it. We just found birth. How arrogant is that? See? You're not actually aware of what's happening. You didn't find birth out in the world. You imagined birth. You projected birth onto the world. Also, you projected the world. So, where is the world? Where is it, other than the present moment itself? This is what you have here. Your idea of the earth, the sun, all that stuff, that's an idea. It's a model, a map. It's not the actual real thing. Now, many people will get scared and they'll say, Adam, but what about, does that mean that I'm going to become a flat earther? Some type of crazy lunatic that doesn't even believe in my own birth? And I don't believe in the shape of the world? I'm going to be socially ostracized. People are going to think I'm a lunatic. Yes, but notice that what other people think of you has nothing to do with what is actually true in your experience. Just because someone else thinks you're a loony, because you are aware that your birth never actually happened, it's just an idea, a story. Just because someone criticizes you and judges you, does that change the actual truth of existence? someone else's opinion. For all of eternity, the masses, the majority, have always had a diluted sense of reality. This is not a fluke, this is actually by design. Because in order for you to exist as a separate self, in order for you to create a world and live a life, you have to delude yourself. You have to deceive yourself so that you can pretend to be a separate being. Meanwhile, you're actually not. I'm going to make another episode about this, about the mechanics of ego, how the ego deceives itself into believing that it's separate from oneness or God. You can actually see this happening in your experience, not philosophy. Okay, next. There is no separation between anything. So when I say the present moment is all that exists, what that also means is that there is no separation between anything. Because everything that is occurring has one thing in common. You can take the most distantly related objects. You can take an ostrich and you can take a rocket ship. What the hell do an ostrich and a rocket ship have in common? Not a lot, but they have one thing in common. One thing. And that thing is that they are occurring in your awareness. So imagine the present moment is kind of like a movie screen, but it's not flat, but it's kind of like a movie screen, okay? Yes, different objects appear on the screen. They appear to be separate from each other. They have different qualities and shapes and sizes, and your mind labels them as separate. So if you're watching a movie, you separate one character from another character. You imagine that they're separate. But if you take a step back and you look at the movie as a whole, it's all unified by the screen itself. The one thing that all the objects on the screen have in common is that they are occurring on the screen. And your mind projects separation. But really, there is no separation between any part of the movie. The movie's one unified totality. It's one seamless projection of light. And all of the separations, distinctions, are what you have projected onto that screen. You've imagined it. You've made it up. And then the key trick is that you've told yourself that you haven't imagined it or you haven't made it up at all. So you separate reality into different parts, into different objects, and then you go back and you tell yourself that you didn't do that, but that those objects are actually inherent in reality. So if you can imagine right here, I have two things beside me. I have a glass of water and a notebook. Okay, these things are not very common. They don't have much in common. But if you actually look at your screen right now, check out that these two objects, they seem different. See how we've separated them? We think, oh, this is a notebook, this is a glass. But where is that separation occurring? I spilled some water on myself. Where is the separation occurring? Are these things actually separate? Do they actually exist separate from each other? No. They are actually both occurring on the screen in your awareness. They're unified by your awareness. Okay? So when you hear hippies smoking weed saying everything is one, they're right. But there's different degrees of comprehension, of understanding, because anyone can say, yeah, everything is one. Anyone can say that. But it's another thing to say that and to actually see in your experience that all separation is invented. It's made up by you. So those are different levels of comprehension. A lot of people just say, yeah, everything is one, and they just say it. And then they go kick their dog and yell at their girlfriend. But when you actually see that even the separation between me and not me is completely fabricated, completely made up, relative, imagined, projected, extrapolated, confabulated, invented. Okay? Now, what does this mean? Well, it literally means that nothing is real. The word real, that implies something that has inherent existence, something that actually exists. So you think a glass actually exists. You think there actually is a glass. You think it's real. It has inherent existence. If I close my eyes and go into a different room, then this glass will continue to exist because it has actual existence. If I die, if I have my throat slit, then this glass will continue to exist, even though I'm not aware of it. That's an illusion. That's made up. That is something you have imagined, because in truth, in your experience, if your throat is slit, there's no more glass. Not only are you not aware of the glass anymore, but the actual glass itself ceases to exist, because everything is grounded upon your awareness. And if something is not in your awareness, then it isn't real. And now I'm saying nothing is real. Because become aware that even the things that are in your awareness, even my experience itself, is made of nothingness. Check out my video, What is an Experience Made Of?, where I explain it. Okay? So even shapes and forms and sounds and ideas, even those things have no tangible substance. They are made out of nothingness. That's the thing that they all have in common. They are all parts of my awareness. My awareness is formless, which we'll talk about in my next video with the mirror, which you should stay tuned for that one. My awareness is so formless that it can actually take the shape of any form. And we'll talk about this more in my next video. So reality itself is pure presence. It's just being. It's just here right now. And all ideas about birth, death, time, space, separation, subject, object, hot, cold, any single separation is not actually there. You have unconsciously chosen to make all of these separations up so that you can experience the magnificence of duality. So all separations, they're beautiful. They allow for you to have a human life. They allow for you to play a video game or to watch a movie or to paint some art or to get into a relationship and fall in love. So you get to experience the beauty of life through duality, through the imagined idea of separation. But it's just important to remember that this idea of separation is only imagined, and its only purpose is so that you can experience the multiplicity of being. So that you, as an infinite being, which is formlessness, awareness, nothingness, you have infinite, unlimited power to take any shape that you want, and you have the power to limit yourself, to impose duality upon yourself just for the sake of beauty and love. And that's all we have to say today. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you liked this video. This was about why the present moment is all that exists. I hope this video helped you reach that third level of comprehension, where you're not just saying in your mind, okay, yeah, sure, the present moment is all that exists. Eckhart Tolle, yeah, whatever. But you're actually starting to grasp, oh, the present moment is all that exists. Oh my. That's a big insight that you can chew on for another 20 or 30 years. So if you like this video, if it helped you, comment, share with your friends, subscribe for more videos like this, because my next video is going to be similar to this style, but in my opinion, it's going to be even more profound and even more next level, because I'm going to be talking about the true nature of awareness. And that is something that you need to understand in order to, first of all, realize your full potential as a human being, so that you can squeeze the full juice out of your life experience, so that you can understand what you are. Not what you think you are, not the ego, the story, the human being, the idea. We're sick of that version of you, the ego. Okay, we've already lived as the ego for a long time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transcend the ego and also include it. So people think of ego death, where they think, oh, the ego is gone forever and there's no more ego, and then I'm just gonna lie on the floor with drool coming out of my mouth because I have no sense-making abilities left in my mind. That's not true. Real awakening is the ability to transcend, to see past the ego, and then also to include it in your life. So to live as an awakened being means to realize that everything is nothingness, but then at the same time live as if everything is real and important, because that's the only game there is in town. So stay tuned for my next video. Hit me up on Instagram for some coaching, where I'm doing one-on-one transmissions where I can help you reach a higher state of consciousness, which I'm already trying to do in these videos, trying to transmit to you wisdom. And that's all we have here. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.